welcome back to Bumps and Burpees. Today I'm joined on my sofa by my sister Amy. Amy is a therapist. She has been qualified for how long?
3-4 years?
I'm glad you
3 years.
Because I felt like a bad sister for not remembering. Okay, and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
So I work in private practice and have done for about 1.5 years. I also work in the NHS, seeing clients in GP surgeries, and I also help to manage volunteer counsellors in the same service.
Busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you specialise in a certain area?
Not yet.
Okay.
Just
so that sort of thing comes later when you...
Either you decide and you study and you kind of advertise that that's what you do, or you just realise that you tend to get those types of clients.
Okay.
I tend to get a lot of millennial clients, so kind of my and our age group.
Which makes sense,
Yeah.
I guess, because it's stuff that you can
I guess my
relate to.
picture's on the website, so they're like, oh, she's my
so
kind of
young.
person.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, and so basically, I thought we'd just get straight into it. We have had some questions through Instagram and through actually people who've just asked me questions. I've written them down. So why don't we start with, will any therapist be suitable for issues with my childhood or parents or myself becoming a parent? So will any therapist be suitable for any problem, basically?
Yes, is the short answer.
Okay.
I always say, there's as many types of therapists as there are therapists, because you train in a certain modality, like there's different schools of becoming a therapist, but then you continue training throughout your career,
Yeah.
so you kind of just add on different bits, and it's to do with your personality as well. But in terms of looking at childhood stuff, the type of therapist that does that more is psychodynamic, so like the Freud type of therapist, but most therapists would be happy to do that as well.
So would it be that when you sort of inquire about getting therapy, you say what it is that you're looking for therapy for?
Some people do, and they just kind of put it all out there in the first email because, I don't know, maybe it's easier than doing it in person.
Yeah.
And also then as well, that they know what you're coming for.
Actually, that's not really what I specialise in.
Yeah. But some people don't. Some people just ask about the appointment, and it's very kind of business, like via email or on the phone or whatever. I'm quite happy if people don't want to tell me until they meet you face to face. But some therapists might go back and inquire and kind of figure that out before they meet, or have like a telephone assessment. Some people do a 10-minute phone assessment before meeting.
And do you ever have clients that come and see you and then either you or them or both realise that actually you two are not a good match? What happens then if you feel like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable opening up to this person?
Yeah, so I always recommend, and a lot of people do this as well, to book a few first appointments with different people over the course of maybe 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, and have a first session with each of them. A first session is normally slightly different from a regular session, and the sessions afterwards.
Yeah.
You're kind of figuring out each other.
Yeah.
So the counsellor will most likely ask you kind of broader questions about your family, how you grew up, what you're doing now, and things like that. So you kind of learn rather than delving.
And you can get a feel for what they're like. And
yeah, and some people just want the one session and they're happy to stick with that therapist, but I think it's good to shop around in the beginning, and then you know for sure that you're happy with who you're in. Okay,
good to know. All right, next question. At what point does anxiety as a parent need to be treated? So I guess as a parent or anything, like at what point do you need to get therapy?
I think a key kind of indicator is if you feel like it's getting in the way of you parenting, if you feel like you're not parenting in the way that you had thought you might be. So before you had a baby, you can kind of imagine how you would be as a mum or a dad. If that's not quite kind of happening, if something's getting in the way, then it's worth exploring it, even if you have just one session. And
even if it's that you're not the kind of parent you thought you were going to be, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, you could still maybe go and talk about that and see, why this may be, and why you had different visions of your parent. Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh my goodness, when I'm a parent, I'll absolutely never let my child watch TV, and then all of a sudden you realise that parenting is really hard. And so I think not everything that's different needs to
for
therapy,
sure.
but I guess it can't hurt to just chat things through with someone who's external from your life, can it?
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the main benefits of counselling, is that someone who doesn't know you, they're not going to go and tell your partner about it if you don't want to talk to your partner about it. They're not going to judge you for it. They're just there to kind of listen and ask questions and help you figure out what's going on. And also, like I said, you don't have to have loads and loads of sessions. You can have 2 or 3 sessions and that's it. Actually, that's enough. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess a lot of people sort of see therapy as like a last resort, and that I have to be sick enough or anxious enough to get therapy. And what would your advice be to people who are thinking that they're not really deserving of therapy?
I think that's a major thing, and a lot of clients would say, I'm probably boring you, my problems are not like interesting enough for you, and things like that, I'm wasting your time. And I have the same reaction that you just had. Because I really think, like, I always have this quote in my head of like, whether you're drowning in like 6 feet of water or 600 feet of water, you're still drowning.
I love
or you're
that.
Still,
that's
like,
really
you're
helpful.
Still struggling. And also there's always people who say like, oh, their problems are so much worse than me. But they probably think, oh, that other person's problems are so much worse than me. So
a problem is a problem,
exactly.
Right?
And if you're thinking, and also you don't have to be in a bad place to get therapy. You can just be in a place where you think you're a bit stuck, or you just want to explore things slightly, or you just feel like there's more out there, or something. Like, you can be in a really good place and just be like, actually.
So no problem is too small.
Exactly.
That's really good to know. Okay, next question. Okay, how to stop being so controlling? I don't know where to start. So I put these questions up on Bumps and Burpees, so I'm guessing she means controlling in motherhood or maybe in her relationship, but in general, I guess. How do I start to address my controlling ways?
So maybe I would say figure out which area it is that feel like you're being controlling in, when it started as well, and what was going on in other areas of your life at that time. Because a lot of the time with control is when we feel out of control, we try and control something really small and pour all of our energy into that. And then kind of distracts us from everything else that's going on. So yeah, I think awareness is always key. I think the more you're aware of what's going on in any area, the more you can't change things unless you're aware of what's going on.
Very true. Okay, good advice.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Okay, how can I cope with my postpartum body depression? So I guess that's where both of our jobs slightly tie in with each other. So from my side of things, I will always talk completely unqualified as a therapist to my clients and maybe followers who message me about it, that you have to remember what your body has created and how amazing it is, and that it didn't change overnight, so it can't change back overnight. And to some extent that does work in relaxing them a little bit and sort of looking at their baby and being reminded of what's happened. But I guess by calling it depression, it's probably gone a bit further than that, and it's actually messing with their thoughts much deeper or much more often. What would you say?
Well, I would definitely agree with you. Like, looking at like, your body hasn't changed overnight to kind of create a baby, so it's not going to change back overnight, and almost kind of thanking your body for what it's managed to do. But then if you are really worried about it being a depression, then I would always say go to the GP first, or book an appointment with a counsellor as well, and really talk it through.
Because there's services through the NHS, aren't there, that you can go and talk with someone. You don't have to fork out tons of money.
And so that's the service that I work in, which is Lambeth, and there's one in Wandsworth as well. I'm not sure about other boroughs, but they must have something where you can self-refer. So I'm in Lambeth, so that's what I know. So you can ring up Lambeth Talking Therapies and self-refer, or you can go to your GP and get them to refer you.
And you get a certain number of sessions.
So in Lambeth you get 6 sessions.
Okay.
In Wandsworth you get 12 sessions because they have a shorter waiting list. So we have to manage, seeing as many people.
It's really a postcode lottery, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So you get 6 sessions and they're free. There's a bit of a waiting list because it's NHS.
Yeah,
it's free.
I'm really aware of all the hormones rushing through the body throughout pregnancy, and you have this imbalance in hormones which can cause a depression of tiny or much larger. And so I guess the one thing that you really don't feel confident about after your body changing so much is your body.
Yeah.
And so that depression can be linked to that, whereas actually probably it's something that's really natural and you're feeling low because your body is reacting to the hormonal imbalance.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's true, and that's kind of why a lot of people get baby blues, which is completely normal, and it's all your hormones are trying to rebalance themselves, and you're also tired because you've got a baby and you're trying to figure everything out, and it's when it starts going past like a couple of weeks then it can start becoming depression. Something else that plays a major role is when you've just had a baby, all your friends and family want to come around and see the baby and help out, and then people start getting back to their normal life and it's just you and the baby, and your partner might go back to work, and you've still got all these hormones going up and down.
So a good tip, I guess, is to stagger your visits. And as a visitor, maybe keep checking in on your friends a few weeks after they've had a baby, a few months after that. Don't just do it in the first 2 weeks.
Yes, for sure. And I think really making use of NCT, if you did that, and kind of keeping that group going, and accepting the help. A lot of people, I think, friends and family would say, like, do you want me to bring anything? And you say, no, it's fine. But get them to bring, like, if you haven't done your shopping yet, say, oh, can you actually bring this over and I'll pay you back or whatever. Like, just accept the help. You don't have to do
accepting help.
everything.
I think people do struggle with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, fab. Here we go. After 2 babies, 4 years, how can I revive my relationship with my partner? Now that's interesting. I think that's probably a question that a lot of people want to know the answer to.
Yeah, definitely. And I think trying to get some alone time. So again, accept the help and get someone to come around and babysit and go on a date. Like, I'm sure a lot of people will kind of, that goes onto the back burner a bit when you've had 2 babies. Accept some help to get a babysitter in and go on a date or go on a day out or something like that, or with your babies if you want to go on a day out or a weekend away.
Well, I think time without the babies is important because you have to remember that you started off as boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife or wife and wife or whichever, you know, but then you become parents. Yeah. And it sort of is like you forget the roles you had before.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, so I think date night is so underestimated. And actually, even date night could just be literally to the end of the road to the pub to have some food and then go home again. Because you probably are like, oh my god, we've got a babysitter, let's go to bed. Yeah. Because you're so knackered. And do you have couples coming into therapy together? Do you think it's sensible for individual therapy or if both partners are game, then together? What do you think?
Definitely. So only specific therapists do couples counselling. Right. So you need to search, basically just Google couples counselling. So if you're both up for it, then definitely go together. I think that can be such a valuable thing if you feel like you're maybe stuck or something like that.
It's a good sign if they both feel like it, isn't it?
If one person doesn't want to and the other one does, then individual therapy is still obviously amazing.
Yeah.
And just communicate with your partner when you get home and things like that. Or if you wanted to, just both do individual therapy and then eventually you might come together and do couples counselling. But I would recommend getting a separate counsellor so it's not one of your counsellors that you've already seen. Because
you might be moaning about your other half and then he comes and they're like, oh.
Yeah, and then they don't like them.
Okay, well that's good
neutral.
To know. That's good to know. Communication is key.
Yes.
Like in all parts of life.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Definitely. Even for us.
Even for us. We do not have enough issues communicating. Well, there was a question here and I'm not sure that it's right for you to answer, but if you're on any anxiety or depression medication and you are pregnant or breastfeeding, is it safe to still take it?
You're right, that's not really a question.
Just thought I would try.
Go to your GP because there's loads of different types of those medications. So there's hundreds of different antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and I'm sure that some of them would be okay to have when you're pregnant or breastfeeding.
And I'm sure your GP would know if you're pregnant anyway and would know if you're on these meds. So,
exactly, and I'm sure even your midwife would be able to.
Yeah, just don't self-medicate.
Exactly. Talk to your GP. Very important.
Okay, and then is there anything that you think people don't know about therapy and would be good to kind of remind people that, you know, it's not as scary as they thought or things like that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think I've already said that open-ended therapy or long-term therapy doesn't need to be long-term. If you're not happy, you can just let them know that you don't want to continue, or that you feel like you're actually okay now, you don't need any more. Like, it's not a massive
That's them doing their job really well.
Exactly, and it's such a tension as well. Like, obviously I love all my clients and I want them to kind of keep working with me, but the point is for them to not have to work with me anymore. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one, but yeah, it's like your therapist is not going to be offended if you tell them that you don't need any therapy anymore. Like, that's a good thing.
Because I think some people, I know I always feel the same with any sort of specialist, that you think, oh God, they're going to want me to see them forever now, and it's so expensive, I can't afford it or whatever. And I definitely shy away from cancelling on things. I feel awkward. Like, I'm moving to Spain. I can't see them anymore.
You bump into them in the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly. I'm packed for a holiday. But it's good to know that actually you can just do a few sessions. And also, I mean, I've come to realise it more and more that you don't have to be really sad or really upset or really grieving to go and see a counsellor. You can just need a little bit of help finding your way, and that's so nice to know. And actually, I think it's so empowering to go and see someone to talk to, because you're acknowledging the problem, and like you said, you can't change it if you're not aware. So that's probably the first step, right? And then I don't know, I think it's great for your relationship, it's great for everything that you just talk about it and get someone else's perspective. Because your job as a therapist is not to tell people what to do, is it?
Never.
Never. So is it to help them find their own answer?
Yeah, definitely. So I ask more questions than give answers, which kind of frustrates people. Some people come to me and they're like, I just want you to tell me this way or this way. And I can't do that. We have a little joke about it, like, well,
that's not useless.
Not what I'm here for, sorry. But yeah, it's definitely to ask the questions, and sometimes people would just look at you and go, oh my God, I never thought of that, or like, I hadn't considered that. So it's just opening up things that maybe they hadn't thought about. Just the main thing in counselling is you have to say things out loud, which sounds really stupid. Obviously you have to say things out loud.
I think that makes sense.
But as you're like, it has to make sense in order for it to be a sentence, in order for it to be
They must sometimes say it out loud and then think, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And sometimes it is challenging people if they say, well, that's just the way it is. And you say, is it?
But why?
And why? And why does it have to be that way? And what would happen if it was different? And things like that. And so it's just challenging people who think things are just the way they are. Actually,
sometimes it's not useful to talk to your husband or your mum or whoever knows you best, or if I spoke to you about a problem, actually, you're very good because it's your job, but she's very annoying.
That's really annoying for myself, because I can't make decisions, because I think about everyone else. And I think about, well, if it was this way, then this would happen. If it's that way, then that would happen. So
true.
This is why therapists have therapy.
Your brain is
my brain is just going to explode otherwise.
But what I mean is, if I'm talking to you about an argument or someone who loves me, they're more likely to tell me that I'm in the right and that everything's going to be fine and that I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, sometimes you need to hear the hard truth and that you're being a bit unreasonable, or what you're doing isn't going to lead to anything productive. So that's what I guess you do.
Yeah.
So those were some of the main questions we got. I know that there's probably loads, so we're probably going to have to do another one. And I hope that it's made some of you feel either that you might want to go and see a therapist, or that you want to talk to your partner, or think about things in a different way. But the idea from this is to show you that she's not scary, she's so lovely, and so all the other therapists. And just try it. It might help, it might make things a bit clearer, and let us know what you thought. And if you have any more questions, we'll do round 2. So just send me a message on Bumps and Burpees. And where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram at Amy Launder Psychotherapy, and then just online at amylaunder.com.
I'll put it all in the link below so that you can find her, because that is a wordy Instagram.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Bye.